The 2022 NASCAR Cup Series champion and Team Penske driver Joey Logano ruffled some feathers when he claimed that NASCAR fans are spoiled during a recent appearance on Sirius XM NASCAR Radio Channel 90. Before we get into this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos. With that out of the way, let's listen to what Joey Logano had to say. And indeed, he does call NASCAR fans spoiled in this radio bit. Let's take a listen.
Our fans are spoiled, and I love our race fans, but think about other sports for a second. Think about it. When are you going to meet an NFL player? Can you access an NFL player?
Nope.
Anytime, like 3 hours before a game? No. You can.
Well, maybe if you're Taylor Swift.
So I think right off the bat, he's starting off on the wrong foot. You probably should never insult the people that make your sport go round. Obviously, the fans do indeed support it. There's a reason why the advertisers are there, because they want to get in front of those fans and have them support their products. I think that's just idiotic. I like Joey Logano, but these are just some really dumb comments. You should not be insulting your fans right off the bat, and calling them spoiled is not the way to go about getting his point across here. As far as the idea that you can't access NFL players, that might be true. I'm not really sure. I don't really attend a lot of NFL games, but I do know that you can access NHL players. Maybe not before the game, but you go to the practice. They're very available. They'll sign autographs. You see it all the time. I'm here right outside Washington D.C. We have one of the best players in the entire world. Maybe one of the best players to ever play the game, Alexander Ovechkin, and he's very available to the fans to sign autographs and maybe to do a little bit chat with them right before practice or whatever like that. Whereas, like, if you go to a NASCAR event, you got to pay. You got to pay to be able to do what he's talking about here. You have to have that like hot pass, that pit pass, or whatever, in order to get in there. So it's not like you can just walk up and go talk to Joey Logano after you bought a ticket at like Martinsville or Richmond or Daytona or whatever. But let's continue and listen on what else he has to say here.
Yeah, okay. Maybe you can tell us.
One exception.
But you can meet me 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes before I get in the race car. You can take a picture with me. Like, I am there. And all the other racers are the same thing. They all, like, we walk down a red carpet, and there is people on both sides of us, and all the drivers stop and sign autographs, or at least try their hardest to, right? It's hard to get everybody, but you try your hardest to.
Again, you have to pay for that. You have to pay for like the pit pass or the hot pass in order to be able to get that access. And he doesn't really seem to be addressing that either.
That is the norm in our sport. That doesn't happen in any other sport at all. So to say we're not accessible is wrong. That is not the case at all. We are very accessible. And when you think of race car drivers that are staying in a motorhome now, I don't know, man. I feel like the race car drivers that I know and get to know, they are normal folk. Like, there is no, like, I don't see, I mean, there's a couple of them that maybe live a little bigger lifestyles than others, but the majority of them are normal racers. And they're really not any different than the racer that's racing on Saturday night. They just been doing it on a little bigger stage, and yeah, they may have made a little bit more money. And that,
Yeah, so he's probably right there, but I do want to go back to the part that he's saying that the drivers are extremely accessible. I can even testify, going to Dominion Raceway, you can't go up to the racetrack and talk to the drivers 5 minutes. There might be special races where they have like a meet and greet and you can go up and do that. I know when the Smart Tour comes to town, you're able to do that. I was able to meet Matt Hirschman that way and get to talk to a bunch of other drivers. When the Cars Tour comes, you can usually do that as well. And they have a couple other big events where you can do that. I've been able to meet Minnie Tyrell, Davey Callahan, Doug Barnes Jr., etc., Peyton Sellers, some of the big names in like model stock racing that race at Dominion Raceway. So you can do that on a Saturday, and that's free. They open that up, and they want you to have access to the fans. But at a NASCAR event, I don't think that's what happens. So we can look at the comments here. Joey Logano kind of gets roasted. You see Matt Wood here saying NASCAR fan access is actually the second most restricted behind Formula One. Even if you want to compare to NHRA, I've been to a couple NHRA events. You can go right up to their pit area, to their garage, and see them rebuilding the engines. You can talk to the drivers. They'll come out there. They're signing stuff while their crew is like rebuilding the engines and everything like that. So they're very accessible. You got this guy Jason Kiefer saying, "Yeah, Joe, you're off the mark." Here's Bekalowski saying, "If you've got the money, they've got the time. Fix it." And I think that's really what it comes down to. Alex Kerner says the quote makes you want to hate what he's saying, but it's not wrong. Go to any concert or sporting event, you get your food, sit in the seat, and you leave when it's over. NASCAR is incredible to its fans. Yeah, if you're comparing it to a concert, like you're not going to be able to like access Taylor Swift or Beyonce. I mean, there are again, but you can pay for that. I've gone to a Lindsey Sterling concert, and you can pay to get the VIP access where you get kind of the meet and greet with the artist or whatever like that, and that's very similar to NASCAR. So I'm going to disagree there with what Alex Kerner has to say here. The Legacy Jones fan says, I disagree. Access is very limited, except when they have sponsorship obligations at the sponsor tents. Otherwise, you have to pay hundreds of dollars for special garage pit fan passes and hope you will see your driver for an autograph. So I think that seems to be the case. You see a lot of comments like that. And then you have this Zuper Zoist here saying, NHRA is the best fan access. It's not even close. Anyone who says otherwise either has never been or is lying. Yeah, I've been to Maple Grove. You can literally just walk into the pits and they're just there talking to you. You can see John Force. You can see Doug Coletta. You can see Brittany Force. You can see all those people. You can talk to them and they're signing and they're very open about it. And you just walk through. They're all just kind of parked out there and you can just walk through. So I think Joey Logano is a little bit off the mark here. I don't think he really got his point across. And I don't think he really I think he's making a kind of false comparison with the NFL. I think the NFL is maybe an exception with that. But even then, I think if the NFL wanted to, they could probably those players would find a way to do some VIP access before the game and get people in there if they can upcharge that. So I would not be surprised if the NFL starts doing something like that to get fans access to that, especially if like they're high dollar fans or whatever like that. I mean, NBA, you get those courtside seats, they pay a lot of money, and they can obviously the players are throwing them out of the game a lot of times. So I think he's a little off the mark here. I don't think NASCAR fans are spoiled when it comes to the access that they have to the racers. And I wouldn't say that I think it's just kind of ridiculous that he's even saying that the fans are spoiled. You should want the fans to be wanting to get to know you, get to meet you, because I think that's healthy for the sport. And you want those people coming to your races because, again, the whole sport is kind of revolves around the sponsorships. And if you don't have the fans there, the sponsors aren't going to be there to want to sell their products to the fans. But those are kind of my thoughts. Let me know what you make of what Joey Logano had to say here. Do you agree with him that NASCAR fans are spoiled and they get a lot of access compared to other sports and entertainment venues, or do you completely disagree and do not think that NASCAR fans are spoiled and he's completely off the mark, especially when comparing to other sports and entertainment venues? Let me know in the comments below.